Well, hello everybody, once again from a secret location in Portishead. From my house, it is episode number 10 of the Robin's Nest, the official podcast of Bristol City Football Club. Thank you very much for tuning in, whether you are listening or watching. It's one of the hottest days of the year, so unfortunately I've caught the sun a little bit. So for viewers, I do have a bit of a red face, which will only probably get redder as we go through the recording. We have 45 minutes or so with a Bristol City superstar. He was born on the 23rd of April, 1995, I believe, in the same place as me. But let's find out. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Callum Joshua Ryan O'Dowda. Hello, sir.
Hello. How are you doing?
So were you born at the John Radcliffe Hospital, or were you born somewhere posher than me?
No, I was born at the John Radcliffe, which is probably, I think it's Marston, isn't it? So that's about 10, 15 minutes away from Killington, is where I was brought up in those areas. So yeah.
So that's what Callum and I share. We share a hometown of Oxford, pretty much. We were both born in the same place. Our footballing careers, however, didn't turn out quite so well. So I played for Tower Hill Boys under 15s. I don't know if have you heard of Tower Hill Boys under 15s at all, Cal?
Yeah, I'm familiar with them. I remember, because obviously I was at Killington FC, and we in the tournaments you do back in the day, those class days you do for hours and hours. I remember Tower Hill, they were up there. You had Kenningtons and all them lot. So yeah, I remember those days.
I was once set to man-mark a player called Ian, I think his name was Ian Brown, and he scored 9 goals that game, which is why my footballing career has not done quite so well as yours. But one of the questions I always like to ask is, at what point in that sort of coming up through kids football, youth football, and then obviously through the Oxford United youth setup, at what point do you realise, hold on a second, this actually can be my job?
Yeah, you do. You're in this because you're playing it because you just love the game first and foremost. I think that's what everyone's initial thing is when they play for a football team. And I remember I joined Oxford United when I was 8 years old, went all the way through to under 16s, and then you did your scholarship. But I think it was probably when I was about 15, 16, when things start to get serious. So it's going into leaving school. I think that's when you actually think, well, hang on a second, this could be really something. And you can see it. You got everything on social media, not so much back then, but you're watching everything on TV, all the Premier League, the odd La Liga games, and you idolize all these players. And that's what you want to do. So I'd probably say it was then when you're coming up to 15, 16 and decisions are being made, big decisions actually, because it's whether or not you will go on to get a scholarship and then potentially get a professional contract, or it could be go back to completely something new, depending on what you studied in at school, your GCSEs.
So who were those players that you were idolizing as you were growing up? Who did you look up to?
The easy ones, Cristiano Ronaldo, it had to be. My dad used to take me and my brother up to Old Trafford when we were younger. Not sure why we supported Man United. I think it was through my granddad, because obviously he was a famous tenor. I don't know if he had some. I think he had some sort of association with one of the players at the time. But my dad used to take us up there when we could, and honestly, I felt like it was incredible. Just going to watch the games, going towards the tunnel at the end of the game, going to see the players, literally what you see every Saturday at Ashton Gate. And Ronaldo was massive, and obviously as players in your position, because you like to put a bit of relevance with it and try and do what they do. So I liked watching Giggsy. Gareth Bale's another one. Obviously, he's still playing. But I think Ronaldo, just because his work ethic as well, dedication, and I think you probably don't see a lot of it. It's all on social media and stuff, what he does, but I think everyone would love to know what he does outside of all that, because I guess is probably next level compared to every other professional.
Talk us through some of those early highlights then, because your career at Oxford United, which of course is your home club, there were some great little moments there. I mean, for example, scoring at Wembley, that must have been a highlight for you there.
Yeah, it was. It was in the JPT final, which I know Bristol City were involved in heavily as well when they're in League One. But it was really nice. It was really nice. I obviously growing up in Oxford, as they say, born and bred. It was a special moment because I was at Wembley when they got promoted from the conference, watching it, and obviously I don't know how many years later then to then go and play at Wembley for them. Obviously, we didn't win that game. I think I was against Josh Brownhill actually. Didn't know each other at the time, but I was aware. I think Lee Johnson told me he was at that game as well with one of the guys from the analyst team. But it was a great moment. Obviously, we lost, but on reflection, it was class.
Only 3 minutes and 29 seconds into the pod before Josh Brownhill got a mention, there was a small little book on how long it'd be before he came up. You must miss him, surely.
Yeah, I do. I think, do you know what? I miss Taylor more as well. We all speak quite a lot. Taylor, I'm especially really close to. Obviously, we actually went on holiday before. No one probably knows that we went on a holiday. I think it was a couple years ago. But I still speak to the lads, Sammy included as well. Obviously, I got loads of friends at Bristol City as well. Jamie Patterson, Tommy Rowe, all the new lads as well. It's got a great mix of lads there.
There's no doubt that your relationship with Josh and with Tails is special. How does that happen? Is it just something that you pick up whilst you're in training? Is it because you have things in common? How do those sort of things start at the training ground?
I think you're right there. I think it's the things in common which you have. We all joined in the same transfer window, I think, as well. And I think at the time the gaffer literally just pumped us together, put us in a room together in the pre-season tour. So it started from there really, and then obviously we're all around the same age and stuff, and all have the same things in common. So that's how it started really.
And football is a cruel mistress for those friendships, isn't it? Because once it comes to the transfer window and the possibility of you going, of someone going, of Josh going. I mean, obviously, there was lots of talk at that point that that might be the case. How does it all end? I remember Scotty Murray saying, he got a call the day before from Josh saying, "Oh, mate, can I get my boots from the training ground?" It must be horrible.
Yeah, and I think that's football for you. I think obviously players and fans, I guess everyone knows what it's all about. Obviously, when I noticed it when I moved to Oxford, I was moved from Oxford. Sorry, I was living at home with my parents, and then just going from one extreme to another. Really, packing your bags up. I think the initial 2 weeks I was in a hotel room, and it's totally different. It's like the new boy at school. I think that's probably been thrown around, but it literally is. You don't know anyone. Sometimes you're lucky enough to know a couple, whether that be internationally or wherever it is. But it is a bit of a crazy process, really. But that's the thing in football. But obviously, one of my best friends I met in football as well, Freddie Grant. We were at Oxford at the time, and we've stayed friends, speak to each other every day. So I think that's another good thing with football as well.
Yeah, true friends, never that far away, are they? Leaving Oxford must have been a big thing. So my first proper radio job was in Oxford. I don't know whether you're maybe too young to remember. Do you remember Fox FM, the radio station? Maybe not. Maybe
Yeah, I do.
Okay. So that was my first job in radio in the city where I lived. I was a Whitney boy, so just outside Oxford. But when it came to leaving Fox FM to come to Bristol, actually that's quite heart-wrenching because it's the people that I grew up listening to on the radio. I was working at that station. So was it similar for you trying to when it came time to leave Oxford United, was that quite heart-wrenching?
Yeah, I'd say it was a little bit, just because that's all. I think that's all you know, and change sometimes is a little bit scary and unknown for some people. But I think when it was more the challenge, I think it was for me. I was ready to. Obviously, I was at Oxford for years, living in Oxford for years. I love the place as well, but I wanted a new challenge. And in the summer, obviously Bristol City was the club that came knocking. That was the number one choice for me out of the one. So I was itching to get there as soon as I spoke to the manager as well. And I think it's nice when you want it as well. Obviously, that you all know it as well from the radio station. You're itching to get there, and you want to show everyone what you can do and stuff. So you do miss home, but also it's quite nice to get out your comfort zone.
The 14th of July 2016 is when you put pen to paper. What was it about the club that attracted you?
I remember playing Bristol City. I think it was the year before or 2 years before, and it. I'll tell you what, it wasn't when I went to the stadium. It had, I think it was one of the stand wasn't even there. I think one of the other stands was. So at that point, it was like, wow, look at this stadium. It's been knocked down, but I think it was just the ambition of the club. I'd obviously know Wes Burns from when he came on loan to Oxford, aware of all the success that they were getting with, obviously, in League One, the promotion. And I think it was a mixture of things. The manager played a massive part when I spoke to him. And I think that's what really drew me in, just his passion for the game. He was obviously he's still now a young manager. Always wanting to learn. I think the biggest thing I've picked up with Lee Johnson is that he'll randomly come in the next day, and he said, I had an idea last night. Like, he doesn't stop. He's constantly thinking of new things to try and develop his players, and I think that goes above and beyond. A few people would probably think, oh, like, bloody hell, like, he doesn't stop. But for me, it just shows the dedication he has in the game. So that was probably one of the main reasons why. But just everything, the backing behind the club, the fan base, the stadium, it's everything. The plans for the training ground, which is obviously going to be finished soon. You want to be, and it is a big club, and it feels like a big club, which is looking like it's ready for the next step. Everyone knows it, and I want to be a part of it.
Always good to hear. And you arrive in Bristol. You are you talking about being a sort of new boy at school. You live in a hotel for a little bit. Then what happens? Because you and your lovely girlfriend Izzy have been together for a while. So did she move up straight away? Did you come first?
No, so I think when we were on pre-season tour, I think it was La Manga. Yeah, La Manga. I think I was there for probably a week or two, and then we went on tour. So I didn't really have too much opportunity to do viewings. I didn't know whether I was going to rent a place. I didn't know where to rent. So it was all these kind of things that were up in the air. And my parents, actually with Sarah at the club, who sorts all these kind of stuff out, went around loads of flats in Bristol, found one for me. So actually, I didn't actually view it, which was the scary thing. I had to put all my trust into Sarah and my mum and dad, actually, and then to secure it. And I had a lovely flat on the harbour, and I was on my own there for, I think it was about 6 months until Izzy came and moved in. So we were there for a year, and then wanted to settle even more in Bristol. So I bought a house. Obviously, don't want to say where it is, but it's actually not too far from the stadium, in Ashton. So I'm loving it around here. Lovely neighbours, lovely street. So it's something I'm really enjoying.
And what is it about Bristol as a city? Because there is definitely something about it. Lots of people come for uni and stay here and never go home. I came here for work and never went. What is it about Bristol as a city, do you think, that's so appealing?
Yeah, I think because obviously we'll compare it to Oxford. I think it's got a bit of everything. I think you've got your history, obviously you've got, but I think it's got a bit of an edge to it as well. It's a bit of a younger feel to it than Oxford. It's just got a bit of everything. I think when I back in Oxford, I didn't actually realise what Bristol was like until obviously you move here, and it's I don't know. I don't know whether I prefer it to Oxford. It's a bit up in the air with me at the moment. Um, but I don't know. I'd probably say it's just got everything.
And what do you do, like, when you're not training, when you're not playing football? What does Bristol offer to you for like hobbies and interests? You've got a couple of dogs, haven't you? That I know that take a lot of your time.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, they take up all of my time. Me and Izzy will go. We've been on every single walk, literally. I think we go to Ashton Court, Abbots Pool, Lee Woods. We've got the park round the corner, but I think that's too boring for the dogs now. So we actually went. I think on the suspension bridge. Then you've got well, obviously where the cars goes. On the other side, you've got a walk. We sometimes take them up there through Lee Woods, which we've been doing a lot recently. Obviously, I haven't had to, because obviously when you're playing football, you don't want to do too much walking, and you're thinking you might don't want to preparation for the game. You don't want to wear yourself up by doing a 6K walk, 7K walk. So they've been occupying most of our time in Bristol. More recently, been painting the house. Half the house has been painted, so it's been nice and boring for us.
And you've done this yourself, or have you? I suppose you've had to because you can't have people around at the moment.
Yeah, me and Izzy. I've also got my little sister with us. I think it was a few days before lockdown. Obviously, you catch a bit of wind with what's going on. So I actually rented some gym equipment from Perform Better. So I've got a bench press, some battle ropes, a watt bike. So I've pretty much got everything in the conservatory at the moment. And I thought it was just an opportunity because I don't really see my sister a lot because she's up in uni. So ever since I left home, it's been hard. So I thought, listen, she does heptathlon and pentathlon, so it could be a good idea if you stay here and stuff because obviously the unis were stopped. So yeah, that's what's been going on recently.
That would a sister that's that kind of athletic would certainly provide some sort of camaraderie and encouragement for your lockdown training. Then I would assume.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the motivation, and you don't lose it. I think another thing as well, when obviously I've got all the runs we have to do, we've got all the programs set from Bristol City, but I think just generally when I walk towards the kitchen, the equipment's staring at me, or I feel obviously guilty if I haven't done anything on the bench press. But to be fair, we've got the GPS pods, we've got heart rate, so there's no excuse. But I'm not that kind of guy. Constantly. I think it was the first couple of weeks where we had to rest. I was texting the fitness coach saying, like, is there anything I can do other than like rest? If there's anything I can do upper body wise. So motivation is definitely there, and I think when you've got my sister, we're both both in the industry where we're constantly competing, always against each other as well, whether it be little things. So it's quite nice that we spur each other on.
What else do you miss from like what used to be normal life? What else is sort of missing from the Callum O'Dowda day that you're really looking forward to getting back to?
I think it's probably the first thing that everyone thinks of is your friends and family. I haven't seen my brother, sister, mum, dad, my nan in months now. Obviously, when we're quite a bit away from home, we don't like. Obviously, they've got things going on. My base is back to the east, so it's. I'll go back as much as I can. But obviously, with football, you game Saturday, Tuesday. It's best when they come to see us. So that's the main thing I miss the most. obviously you got your little things like I say, like my haircut and stuff, but it doesn't really like compared to seeing your friends, your family. And I think it's just everyday normal life, just being able to go to a restaurant with your girlfriend, or do you know what I mean? It's obviously it's annoying, but these things have to be done. So
You did, however, have the return, the mighty return in small groups, albeit, but the mighty return to Feyland on Monday. That must have been an amazing feeling.
it was fantastic, honestly. With everything that's going on as well, I think the main thing I said it to Macca yesterday. It's just nice to, because obviously when you're doing runs for the fitness, you're not really, you're just thinking of trying to beat your time or with what's going on. But when you're playing football, it's quite a nice escape from just everything that's going on. Obviously, it's not nice, and it's brilliant to see what people are doing and stuff. But it's not a nice time for everyone in nationally and internationally. So it's quite a nice escape. But we've there's so many different things that we can and can't do, and you're constantly thinking, oh no, I can't do that, or I need to do this. Whether it be as soon as you get there, we're being tested on different days, and we're not allowed to park near each other. We've got individual parking bays. We have to get out of our car at a certain time. Obviously, the social distancing always being 2 meters apart. Obviously, I have to do my own strap-ins. I've did a Instagram post. I have procs 2 meters away telling me how to do it. It didn't feel good on the first day I did it, but today it actually felt okay. So I think soon I'll be telling him I don't need him. But no, it is a bit weird. The football side of things, obviously, no contacts allowed, and everything's being disinfected after training. You're seeing Scotty Murray. That's a lovely sight in his the full PPE. It's quite funny, but it's definitely a lovely feeling just going back to a little bit of normality.
So in these small groups then, are you with the same people, or do they mix the sort of groups up?
Yeah, so they'll mix it up. I think at the moment we're only allowed, I think it's a few players and one coach on the pitch. So today I was with the manager, and we had wide players and fullbacks. So I think they're trying to make it relevant to what you would be in a game, instead of having, I don't know, let's just say 5 wingers. It's quite a nice mix. We've got like a little bit of, I don't know, left back and left mid connection with a centre mid there. So it's they're thinking of how we can get back to what we're doing and thinking of new things at the same time. So it's a general mix up, but they've thought it through, you can tell.
And who were you most pleased to see who on their arrival? And I want you to base this perhaps on appearance, because as you are fully aware, we've been unable to go to hairdressers, that kind of thing. Who put the biggest smile on your face with their new post-lockdown appearance?
Do you know what? It's not a player. It's Andy Rolls, who's head of performance at the club. He came back with a full on beard, and it was like, oh, Rosie, you've you really changed. But I think it was today as well. Ashley Williams. I don't know why I didn't see on any online or anything, but he's gone fully blonde as well. So his dreads, and it was a funny sight actually. It threw me back a bit. As soon as I said hello to him today, I was a bit like, whoa. But it's quite nice to see everyone's. Few people have shaved it off. Like Rory, I think he does it. He doesn't do it himself, but that's his haircut, so it's easy for him. I'm a little bit skeptical whether or not I should let my girlfriend cut my hair, but I've left it at the moment and just waiting to hear from Boris as to when everything's going to be open again. So I'm patiently waiting, wearing some hats, and yeah, that's all.
How good did it feel though to finally get that foot on a ball on some grass?
Yeah, yeah, it was class. I think just like I said, just going back to your younger years when you're just going out there enjoying it. It literally felt like that because it's been away for I think it was 2.5 months, which is the longest I've gone. Because obviously I've had international games normally in the middle of the in the off season, so I probably have about 2 weeks from not touching the ball, but it's been months, and I think it's just different. It's easy to go out and have a little kick about, like do a bit of two touch with your friends or something. Obviously, we can't do that even now, but just going back to different things like crossing a ball, just match relevant stuff. It just honestly, it felt so good.
Yeah, stuff you can't do in your garden for fear of breaking someone's greenhouse, that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Also, during lockdown, you've been a very busy boy. One of the things you neglected to mention about hobbies and interests is, of course, one of the footballers' most prized duties, which, of course, is the computer game. Now, I'm not a gamer in any shape or form, even though I'm sat in a gamer's chair. It belongs to my other half. So I don't understand anything Fortnite, Call of Duty, no idea. But you have not only been playing this game, but for a very bloody good reason. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, so I play with Josh Taylor quite a bit as well. I got another friend in Bristol, Ethan. We all play the game, and then through obviously playing with different players, I met David Brooks and Harry Wilson on playing it, and it was just something where obviously with what's going on, there were multiple charities that I was seeing affected, and I just thought I needed to help out as much as I could, whether that be donating to charities. But then I think it came the other day when I saw FIFA tournaments, and I thought, wouldn't it be a good concept to do if I could do a game like Fortnite or Call of Duty? Just because FIFA's you've got one player against one player, whereas these games, your battle royale, it's like 100 or 150 people. So I thought it was a good opportunity, but using my social media, if I could use the followers I've got to try and get some sort of charity or try and do something. So me and Ethan actually and Taylor helped out with it to try and get this tournament set up. So I've been trying to set up for weeks and weeks because I didn't know too much about it, whereas Ethan was brilliant with it all. There's this thing called custom matchmaking where apparently when you join a game, you can play with people you want to play. So that's where the whole idea came. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to get people to donate and then with a chance to play with loads of footballers? So I think we were going to get Tammy involved, but we couldn't because of his link to Activision, which is Call of Duty. So that would have been a nice one. But I think it was the hospice was the first thing that came to mind to try and help out, because obviously I'm an ambassador for them, and it's lovely to see the work they're doing. Obviously, it's not nice at times. You've been there as well to see what goes on there, but like they say in their thing, is trying to make the short and precious life they have as good as they can. So I thought, what better way to do that? So I think we raised 3,500 for them. There was another charity which I tried to. It's not really a charity. I think it was a business doing a fundraiser, Freckles Childcare. So they're trying to. I'm not sure I understand. Oh, Apple Watch. Sorry. They're trying to raise money for key workers within the NHS for some free childcare. So I try to set up and do as much as I can for them. I'm thinking of raffling off a shirt or anything I can do. So yeah, I'm just trying to help out as much as I can. Obviously, you haven't got much to do other than training, painting the house, and walking the dogs. I thought it was a good idea, and it was quite stressful, to be honest, but it all worked out in the end. It all worked out.
And the people that came on and played you, I mean, it must have been, an amazing experience for them to come in and play with you guys.
Yeah, I like to think so, because I think there was probably about 20, 30 odd footballers as well. I had Matty Taylor texting me because he was eager. As soon as I put it online, sorry, he was straight on it. I think who else was playing? We had obviously Harry Wilson and David Brooks. Dan Bentley played. Bakes was playing. You know, players from other teams as well. Josh played obviously as well. But no, it was really successful. Probably I don't know if I want to do it again anytime soon. But yeah, with the stress that was involved. But no, it was all for a good cause, so I didn't mind doing it.
That cause is an amazing cause. You touched on it there, the Children's Hospice Southwest. It's an adopted charity for the club, but also a personal ambassador as well. What does it mean? We go there at Christmas. We do our Christmas visit, and like for me, the standout moment there is just seeing the faces, not only of the children that are in care there, but of the families. It's an incredible place, and I would encourage anybody to go on an open day there. They do open days. Just go to it, because when you imagine a children's hospice, you imagine lots of equipment or a very sterile environment, but it's not like that at all, Cal, is it?
No, it's not. I think I went there a couple of years ago, and it was obviously it's quite sad when you go there, because obviously it's the stories as well, that how much it affects the family. But honestly, the stuff that the hospice do is incredible. We both know it is crazy what they do. I think the rooms they've got there, the facilities, everything. And like you said, it's lovely when you go in there and see the faces. When we went down there at Christmas, you had everything going on, different stalls, and all the kids are out, the families were there, and it was really nice. You were on the piano, that was really good. I think you had Antoine was on the PlayStation playing with the kids. Me and Taylor were playing Connect Four, and it was really nice. And obviously we have a big connection. I think thing that's hit me the hardest was Ben as well, which was tough, and it did impact the team as well, because we're close to the hospice, we're close to the family, so it was tough. But yeah, incredible what they do. It is incredible.
I remember at that Christmas visit, because it's not necessarily all about the children that are in care, but also the families and the siblings. They have a special team at the hospice for the siblings. And I remember one of the siblings coming up to me and going, she was literally shaking, and she was going, I just had my photo with Callum O'Dowda. How do you deal with like the fame side of football? Is it weird when people like come up to you in the street and want your photo?
No, not really. I don't know. I had it a little bit when I was at Oxford, because I think it was quite a small city centre. Bristol's obviously a lot bigger, but it is a little bit weird now and then. I had a weird one actually the other day. A guy asked for a picture, and I said no. I think it was the first time I said no. Obviously with the social distancing, but it's a nice feeling as well. But I know what that feeling's like. Like I said to you, I was the kid at Man United at the tunnel wanting pictures and autographs and trying to get players' shirts. So I know the feeling. So anything I can do, pictures, anything, I'll do.
Obviously, at the minute, as you say, social distancing is preventing that from happening, unless you sort of do it 2 meters apart, like long for, I don't know. But please make sure you're all safe out there. Is it? How would I then? How do you attract your attention? So it's post game. Everybody's doing the lap. How do I get your attention to come and sign my thing, or ultimately the thing that really huffs off Scotty Murray? How do you decide when you're going to give a shirt to someone? How do you make these decisions?
That's a good question, actually, because I have done it a few times, especially in the tunnel. I think the tunnel is like the best place, because you're heading towards there. You get eye contact as well, because when you're clapping the fans and thanking them. I think the tunnel. If you want the shirt off players, I think the tunnel's the best place to go. Big massive sign saying please can I have your shirt. I think you'll get success. I wouldn't put a name, just to, so that gives you a better chance. I think it's just, please, can I have your shirt, and then shout their name. I think that's probably the best idea. But we can't give away too many shirts as well, because Scotty will get too annoyed.
Don't you actually get? He says he charges you for them as well. Do you have to pay if you give away a shirt?
We do, yeah, we do. I think we get to be fair, I think we I think the first few, or I'm not sure how many it is, they don't mind sorting, but at the same time they have to get the shirts, and then they have to print the shirts. It's all those kind of things. So I've done it a few times, but it's obviously it makes a kid's day, I guess. So it's a nice feeling.
Let's talk about Ireland for a bit. You qualify to play for Ireland through your grandfather, big old Brendan, who, as you say, he was very well known, wasn't he, in Ireland?
Yeah, he was a famous tenor, actually. So it's probably music people aren't familiar with. But obviously, I grew up listening to it a lot. He passed when I was 6, but my dad was constantly playing his tunes all over the speakers around the house. So that's how I qualified. Went over quite a few times with my dad, and my grandfather moved over to England quite some years ago. So it's a lovely thing to have. Obviously, going away on international duty, it's different because you've got your club and international, and it's quite nice to have a bit of a different team as well, different manager with different ideas. So you relish the chance, and it's been a crazy few years for me personally. I've got 20 caps as well now, which if someone said that to me when I was kicking a ball around at the park, and someone said you're going to play 20 times for Ireland by 25, I would have snapped their hand off. So it's a massive thing for me, honestly. It is big.
Can you remember where you were when you got that call? I love these moments in people's lives when all of a sudden you're like a normal lad, and then all of a sudden you're being picked to play for a country. How did that story unfold?
I was at Oxford at the time when I got my call ups for the 21s. I had no idea it was going to happen. I had a phone call after a game. I played Stevenage away for Oxford, and I got a call from Noel King, who was the manager for the 21s at the time, and it was a totally random call. God knows how he got my mobile number. So straight away, 07 came up. It was a bit like, okay, hello, all acting all suspicious. And it was a crazy moment. Honestly, I'd told my parents, I was like, oh wow, like I've actually been called up. And he was in Switzerland at the time for getting the draws for the qualifiers for the 21s. But that was a great feeling with the 21s, because I never experienced that, going away, being in a hotel, living in a hotel basically, and then going to train and then play games internationally against clubs. But for the senior team, I played a game for the 21s, and I was at the airport going to, I think it was Andorra, and Noel King, the under-21 manager, just handed me the phone and said, "Oh, Martin O'Neill wants to speak to you." And it was a bit like, "Well, okay," like, "Oh yeah, okay." And he just said, "I watched your game a few days ago. Thought you did really good. It'd be great to get you in soon." So I had a bit of a heads up at that point, but it was until the summer. I actually booked a holiday with Izzy as well. So we planned to go west, and the call up came. Surprisingly, I didn't get told at all. It was all found out through Twitter, actually.
Really?
It just came up. Yeah. So no one told me anything. And then I was actually in Oxford City Centre. I was in Patisserie Valerie with my mum, and as you just look on Twitter, and it just came up, and my name was there. So it was like, okay, yeah, there we go. Wow. And then obviously it came with the emails and stuff, but that was the initial. But I couldn't believe it at first. The first thought I was like, oh my god, like wow, this is actually happening. And then the second thought was, I need to cancel that holiday as well. So breaking that to Izzy wasn't too good, but I honestly didn't really care.
Oh, she is. I think, you know, all girlfriends and wives of footballers are sort of fairly long suffering, especially when, you know, you are called up for international duty. Is that a hard sort of balance? In all seriousness, is that a hard balance to strike sometimes?
Yeah, it is. It is actually. Because obviously you're away for sometimes 3 weeks. But at the same time, it's a nice thing because obviously you'll know when you're with your partner for ages and ages and ages, you get on top of each other, and it's quite nice when you have a bit of distance as well. Because obviously being all soft now, it just shows how much you love them. So it's also a bit of a blessing in disguise, but it is a bit tough because obviously you're in a hotel on your own, literally just there to play football. You enjoy the football, but then other than that, you're in the hotel room, not really doing much at all, reading, playing your games, and then every now and then we'll sometimes go to the cinema and stuff, but that's pretty much it.
And that support is really important, isn't it? If I think it would be much more difficult for footballers in that position, because some of the girlfriends that you know that my mates have, the demanding where have you been, all this kind of stuff. So the support of a partner's really important. I think I think now's a good time to bring this up, because not secretly, but I mean it's not something I've talked to you about, but I have started a sort of Instagram relationship with Izzy, where, you know, we have a bit of a chat mainly about dogs, and how cute dogs are, and yeah, cooing over that mainly. So now I feel like I needed to say, because I feel like I really know Izzy, even though we've only passed in the corridor at Ashton Gate a couple of times. But she's lovely, isn't she?
Yeah, she is lovely. I can't speak enough about her really. She's and it is tough for girlfriends. She actually had a job in Oxford, and you have to make these decisions as well. Obviously with my football, and I wanted her, and she wanted to as well, come here and do her own thing as well at the same time. But it is a bit stressful for your partners. Obviously, the unknown of what can happen in football in a few years' time. Obviously, things change, don't they? And the clubs go up and down. I think it's just the way football is, and I think people overlook the impact it has on families, especially when you've got kids. I think it's probably even harder when you've got kids because you have to take them out of school and stuff, or if you want them to stay in that place, you'll be hundreds of miles away potentially. So it is stressful, but I found a good one with Izzy.
Yeah, I reckon you have. Any rings on fingers is sort of imminent? Is that something that's happening?
I can't give it away on here.
Oh yeah, fair.
Yeah, what we get here, we need to remember we're on the podcast. We're not just chatting.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, we'll see. Nothing's happening at the moment. So
very good. Let's go back to football for a bit. Take me through some highlights of Bristol City. I want to take you back to 2017. So obviously you and Matty Taylor have Oxford United in common. And then in 2017, the big announcement that Matty Taylor is joining Bristol City, that must have been a very interesting moment for you.
Oh, I couldn't believe it, honestly. I felt so smug. Oh, obviously, I think he was close to joining Oxford the year before that. But when I saw that, I just thought, because obviously I know Matty, little Jenny, probably people don't know this, we actually went to the same school. So he was at Gosford Hill in Killington. I think he was in year 11 whilst I was in year 7. So we've known each other for years. He was in the same football team as my brother. But honestly, it was a crazy. I remember actually looking at it in the flat, thinking, "Oh my word, what is going on?" So I don't know. Has that happened before? Has someone moved from Rovers to City? It's an unknown thing, but honestly, I felt so smug. And then actually seeing him on the pitch before, I think it was in at half time, it was a crazy thing. But I think that was probably a great thing for the City fans to see as well.
It was half time. I announced him out onto the pitch at half time, and he was stood in the tunnel, and he was like sort of like doing a jog, like he does that little jog before he goes on, where he's like sort of like, and he was getting ready in full jeans and a leather jacket, but it was almost like he was getting ready to come on. It was amazing. What other memories of your current career at Bristol City? What moments would you go back and relive if you could?
I'd say it was the goal against Palace. That was that was a big thing. So that was my first goal. Another thing was scoring against Cardiff. Obviously, still waiting until we play Rovers. That'll be a very memorable day. Cause I think that's all the players would love to get, and the fans to get a cup fixture with them. Obviously, we can't play them in the league at the moment. So, but I think going to this season, the highs from this season was the game against Charlton was big. Obviously, that was when Josh scored the winner such late on. But you've got your little in Ireland. I room with Josh Cullen, who's actually on loan at Charlton. So I was actually up against him because I was playing centre mid that game. So playing against him and then getting that last minute goal, it was crazy. Honestly, the fans probably don't see too much what goes on in the dressing room, but it was mental. Honestly,
well, you can't say that and not tell us what went on.
No, I can't. It's just some of it is explicit, so yeah, we'll leave it as that. But it's the feeling of when you get the 3 points and then you go back into the dressing room, nothing beats it. Because like fans, you honestly, if I lose a game or we come out of a game where we've drawn, we should have won. It's the worst thing in the world. You go home and you punish yourself for it. The reservations that you booked for that night, you don't want to do it. You just want to watch the game back, reflect, or try and move on to the next. Really, so that's probably another thing which has an impact on families. But I think that's just the life we live. Really,
that is football life. Talk to us about goal celebrations and that kind of thing, because that's a really important part. So are these practiced? Do you decide what you're going to do, and not just yourself but others? How do goal celebrations appear?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I think a lot of it. I think my Norwich one. I didn't really celebrate too much at home. Away, I did stupidly. I was getting a lot of stick on the left side at Norwich away, and it was just an initial thing to do that, feeling smug, and then they go and win the game, which was even more annoying. But I think goal celebrate. I haven't even with Pato, we haven't really planned any. I know Casey and Bennett have practiced a few things. I don't know where they've done that because I haven't seen it at the training ground. But I think a few players probably just go on FIFA and have a look at possible goal celebrations and think, oh, do you know what, that looks great. Let's give that a go when I score.
And then
the knee slide. Sorry, I said the knee slide is an easy one for players as well.
Does it not hurt that?
You have to be careful. I think when if it hasn't rained or they haven't, I think you can just tell from them. I've seen a few players. I think it was Shane Duffy, and in Ireland it was I think we were at home to Denmark, and there was a brilliant video of him doing a knee slide, and he's gone down on his knees, stopped, and then his body's just gone over. Honestly, But yeah, I think you just need to know when it's right to do. So when there's a bit of water on the pitch.
And then there was the GIFs, the famous Bristol City GIFs. They must have been an absolute hoot to come up with.
Yeah. So it's there's some gifts that people haven't seen and won't see. Won't see, sorry.
Go on, talk us through.
Pato and Matty Taylor have had a few good ones. Messing around, honestly, it was some of the stuff they do. But no, it was they're brilliant to do. We haven't done, obviously, with what's going on. We haven't done it in ages. But thinking of the stuff, I remember when I was doing it at the start of the season with Josh, we're sat in this room with media, and we're just thinking, what can we do? Like, what can we do? It could be as silly as, there's some tea bags there. Is there anything we could do with that? Or, but a lot of it is down to them. They've got all the ideas, and us doing it if we feel comfortable. But a few players, like I said, have done a few bad things which won't get shown.
Such a tease. Did you have a favourite one?
Do you know what? I didn't really. There was the only one that comes to mind was when Josh was coming up. That was a crazy one. But I think Bobby did a great one as well a couple of years ago. But no, not really any two favourites. Famara has done a good one as well. I think Pato did a good one at Christmas, like a Christmas edition one. But they're the only ones that really come to mind.
We need to do an X-rated show where we can talk about what went on in the changing room and the gifts we'll never see. There's a whole series in this, Cal. There's a whole series in it. Listen, I could chat to you all night, but time's cracking on. We have this fantastic opportunity where you are training in small groups. We are looking forward to getting back to some sort of football. What sort of shape, from what you've seen, what sort of shape do you think the boys are in heading into these final 9 games?
Really good. Yeah, I think just on record, we always go into the season really, really strong. We always start really well, and I think that's down. Oh wow, sorry about that.
She's quite chatty, isn't she? Your watch.
Yeah, I think she really wants to be involved in this podcast. I'm going to keep her under the table. No, like I said, we're always going into the start of the season really strong, fitness wise, physical wise, and credit to all the staff at the club over all this lockdown period. They've been honest with the programs, pushing us, getting us as fit as we can with what we can do. And I'm excited. I'm really excited with the players we've got coming back. Benik, obviously being the main one. Obviously it was not nice to see that happen to him because he's had that before in the past, that injury. So everyone's really excited and everyone's got that buzz. It's got a bit of a pre-season feel to it, but I think the Zoom calls I've had with everyone high up in the club, whether that be chief exec, manager, I think we all know how important these 9 games that we've got left are. It's an opportunity for us to get in the Premier League, and the club's crying out for this. You'll know it's something. It's got all the foundations there. It's got all the backing. And it's ready to go to that next level. And us as players, we're constantly reminded it when we're doing these runs and all these fitness drills, and we need it. We need it really. So we're itching to get back. Obviously, it's got to be safe to do so. So, and obviously, we're watching all the Bundesliga, which is going on, which is a bit of a tease. Obviously, we can't. But I think the best way to look at it is the Premier League's probably about, I think it's 10 days ahead. So once you see the next step go into with what's going on with them, I think that's when we can start to see everything on the horizon.
Well, 130 appearances, 8 goals, Mr. Callum Joshua Ryan O'Dowda. May there be many more goals still to come. Look forward to getting back to seeing you properly soon. And thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you. Enjoyed it. Take care.
What a guy. What a guy. Even his middle name is Josh. Right. Plenty more still to come from the podcast. We will be continuing to do our social distance and keeping safe, which is, of course, what you should be doing at home as well. Keep your eyes on all of the Bristol City social media outlets for the latest from the club. But from the meantime, from all of us here in the Robin's Nest, bye for now.